So yesterday I talked about worry. Well, I talked about what Jesus said about worry, which in a nutshell was don't worry. And I'm sure that Jesus realized when he said it that not worrying about stuff is easier said than done, because we all worry about things. We tend to worry most about things that we can't really control, like losing your hair or getting wrinkles. We also worry about things that we can control but often feel powerless to do what we know we need to do to change the situation, like losing weight or forgetting to turn off the iron when you go shopping. I'm no psychologist, obviously, you can tell, and I don't have anything to back me up on this one. It's just a theory, but I think that on a typical day we all end up worrying about something big or small. But when those worries start piling up on top of each other and it all gets a bit too much to handle, the little worries begin to set into motion a deeper cycle of anxiety. And in my thinking, anxiety is just harder to shift. It's more than just a fleeting worry, but a persistent nag. It's almost like we make friends with worry, and then he introduces us to his big bad brother called anxious. Does that make sense? The Apostle Paul, who wrote a lot of the Bible in New Testament anyway, he was no stranger to worry. And if anyone had a reason to worry about anything, it was Paul. He was whipped, beaten, imprisoned, tortured, starved, shipwrecked, homeless. Been there, got the t-shirt kind of guy. But he wrote these words to the church in Philippi. He said, "Don't be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." A really recent survey just released last week by Tearfund confirms an extraordinary surge of new people turning to prayer and attending church services online for the first time over the last 6 weeks. Significantly, the survey says that 1 in 20 of these new people attending church online have never been into a normal church service. That's a surge equivalent to 3.3 million new people turning to prayer and attending church in the UK in just the last 6 weeks. So obviously there's something about the situation that we're faced with right now that's making people feel worried and anxious. There's something about worry and anxiety that exposes our weaknesses. So we turn to God in prayer. Paul's advice to the Philippians was a lot like Jesus's. Don't worry. Don't get anxious about anything, but in everything, pray. Now, you might be one of those 3.3 million people that's found yourself praying at some point over the last 6 weeks. You might not be, but whether you're a seasoned prayer or someone who's never prayed before, if you want to overcome the worry and anxiety in your life, prayer is a good place to start. In fact, what Paul is actually saying is that prayer is like an anxiety vaccine. Prayer is the thing that you can do to guard your heart and your mind from worry's big brother, anxious. So why don't you just take a few moments wherever you are right now, at home, at work, in the garden, somewhere else, to just pray the simplest and best prayer you can think of praying, and see what God can do in your life. You might want to start by thanking God for the good things in your life, for family, for friends, for health. But if you're struggling to think of something good, perhaps the best thing to do is just be still. Just take a moment to pause. I heard this yesterday from a guy called Pete Gregg, and he said the best way to start praying is actually to stop praying, to pause and be still. And in that stillness you can know that He is God. I'm praying for you now, and I know that I'm not the only one. God bless.